Hey guys and gals, I got another one for you today. I am back, and what a terrible timing on my part to leave World of Tanks to brush up and get better at Modern Warfare when all this new stuff is happening. So I apologize for missing out on some of that, but I will try to get caught up. We're going to do talk about the new changes. So the TVP is going to, or I'm sorry, this is the Fox Tier 10 French tank destroyer. You can see that they're adding armor to it since it's like the tier 10 tank destroyer that dies the most. And then also they are changing the TVP T5051 just a smidge, and the machine doesn't really perform overpowered like most people think. And honestly, once you get the machine, to me, I don't think it's overpowered. It can be a great tank when in the right hands, but if you know how to defeat it, shooting the shoulder plates, it's really not that great. But we got the new Tier 10 T95 E6, and I'm comparing this to the Chieftain. I feel like it's got a pretty good comparison. It's got a little bit better horsepower to ton ratio. It does have a 15% more chance of getting lit on fire. But the reload time is almost the same. Aim time's a little bit worse, or a lot of it worse actually. Feel free to pause it and go through the stats yourself. The train resistance is much better on the E6, so it's like a more mobile Chieftain, but the gun isn't as good. Rotation speed 36 degrees, once again speaks to the mobility. Most important thing, it's only got 745 meters signal range. That's no good. Chieftain's got 750. I'm just kidding. Radio range doesn't matter. You guys know me. Interesting thing, it runs AP rounds, heat shells, and HE shells. The penetration on the HEs are pretty garbage, but all the velocities are 1,067 meters per second, which is pretty solid. Looking at the armor profile compared to Chieftain, we'll just keep the Chieftain up in the top left, and then I'm just going to click through and kind of show you the turret armor, or all the armor on the E6. So the hull is definitely not as strong. Or I'm sorry, the hull is a little bit stronger than the Chieftain, but the turret it probably isn't as reliable, and it's got that gigantic cupola, which the Chieftain has a smaller cupola. Still a weak point, but I feel like they're going to be pretty similar. And then me and Thyderion were playing, and we were trying to get an epic IS7 IS4 combo win. Definitely when we are having some of our best times in tanks, it's with these two tanks comboed up together. Unfortunately, this is going to be a replay mode, so you're not going to see his ammo or anything. But he has a hell of a game, and I'm kind of there just as cannon fodder for him. And then after this, there's a new IS3 that came out, which is an autoloader, and we'll talk about that after the game. So let's just sit down and enjoy this massive IS4 game, which I kind of wanted to bring in the IS4 game as well, because I felt like if any heavy tank needs a buff, it's probably this one, or even E100. And though many people will be like, especially like IS4 players, if you ask Thyderion if it's IS4 needs a buff, he'd probably say it doesn't, just because he plays it so well. It's easy to not play it well, though, so a lot of people don't like the IS4. If you don't know how to use your armor correctly, then you're going to think it's absolute garbage. The gun, I think, is good. It could maybe be tuned up a little bit, but it can crank through some shells. E100, obviously the cheeks are a weak point, or the turret itself, but if you angle it, you can do some nasty things. So that's where you draw the line, is like what's overpowered. If you put it in someone's hands and they do really well with it, that doesn't really make it overpowered. To me, I mean, there's obvious answers to overpowered, and like, sorry, I'm having a brain fart. I've been away from the game for a week. I can't remember tank names. It's pretty sad. Tier 6 Merc tank. Absolution. That's what it is. Absolution is easily an overpowered tank. Like, they just need to tune that gun down a little bit or fix the spaced armor because it's destroying that tier matchmaking. I did not play on the ranked battles when they had them for tier 6 2 weeks ago, mostly because I figured absolutions were going to be aplenty. Now, lower tier tanks can feel more OP just because obviously the skill level down there at tier 6 isn't as quote unquote good as it is at tier 10. I mean, to get a tier 10, you've experienced some things. Definitely, if it's your first tier 10, you might play like crap, get tier 10 syndrome, but that's besides the case. Alright, so he's got 7 pens so far. He's lost a little bit of health. The Reds just do not know how to pen the IS4, which is absolutely hilarious. And then as we roll up, we realize that there's an Emil hull down back there. Already hits him once. And now before we make the final push down the AB line, we want to try to clear this Emil out so we're not taking shots in the side. He's shooting at me right now, so Thyderion pulls up, gets shot in the side of his head, and realizes that that red team is still up on top of the 5-6 line, and he is not going to be able to make this play. Already smashes him for 7. I believe at this point I have HE loaded. I think I just missed my HE shell, but I can't remember. Red team's starting to pull this back. Now, the reason they're pulling this back is because they stayed on cap. We pushed through the shed of shame, and then they pincered us. Now, if Thyderion and I would have been up on this ridge, we would have been able to counter that push, and they would have been driving right into a pincer. So maybe we should have done that and not worry so much about the Emil, but we just didn't want the Emil to get us shot in the back. So we realized that we're going to lose all our teammates up here if we don't push to the hill, and I figure that Emil's on 7 hit points. He's going to be pretty cautious on what he does. Now our team's starting to make a play in. I'm staying back, trying to stay hull down. Unfortunately for me, the Emil comes behind me, and I don't react in time. So he is able to put me down. I think he blew my motor too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't remember. But I think he came up behind me, blew my motor, so the turret traverse was just not fast enough. Now this is an interesting point. The M103 gets his side. Obviously, the M103 doesn't have heat shells to get through his shoulder plate, or just is not confident in shooting IS4 where he needs to. Now he's focused on the T-57. At this point I'm watching him, I'm like, back in, get to the shed of shame, you'll be solid. And the M103 really wanted to put pressure on him, but realized that the 57 Heavy wasn't going to help him, so he's starting to back off as well, and Thyderion can reposition himself to get this side scrape, which is absolutely wonderful. It doesn't even really need it, because M103 hits the FV215B's barrel. And now our full health E100 is starting to make a play, but he doesn't want to drive in between the two tanks, even though he's full health. And the T-57 Heavy just killed our Tier 8 medium, and the 57 Heavy just took the track off the E100. So Thyderion exposed himself to the M103, and he knew that the T-57 Heavy was reloading, so he did not want to give him a chance to get the full reload. The M103 looks at the E100, and this pretty much just is going to seal it up. Absolute throwdown by Thyderion in his IS4, and good stuff. I really enjoy it. I don't mind dying in my IS7 when we're in this combo, because I really enjoy watching him work the IS4. I think a lot of people think the IS4 is garbage, so they'll go up against it with confidence, and then when you play against an IS4 driver that knows what he's doing, you get overwhelmed. You're just like, okay, that tank usually doesn't give me that much fit. Like, why am I struggling so hard? But my game, I threw down 3K, 1100 assist, but here is the trophy winner. 6,000 damage, 500 assisted, 4K blocked, 3 kills, ace tanker, and he takes top dog. Beautiful game in the IS4. I joke when I say I was cannon fodder. I was second on the team in damage, so I'd like to think that he couldn't do it without me, but I'm sure he could have. He is an animal in his IS4. Alright, so let's jump into the new tank, the Stockade Object 703. This thing is an auto loader. You see, I'm comparing this to the Fatherland. So the horsepower a ton is right on point. Nothing really, I mean, besides the fact that it's an auto loader, the aim time's actually a little bit better than the Fatherland. The resistances are on point, except this one rotates faster. The IS3, or the Fatherland's turret turns a little bit quicker, and with the Stockade's tracks turn a little bit quicker, so there's that trade-off. Signal range is the same, 720. So to me, it really feels like if you're into autoloaders and you have Fatherland, that your Fatherland is going to be obsolete. Same ammunition, and then to me it looks like the same exact armor profile. So unfortunately, it looks like a reskinned Fatherland with an autoloader, which everybody hates. So, alright, well, I'll quit babbling. Hope you enjoyed. I can't wait to get back to tanks. I'll still play Call of Duty, but I'll quit babbling. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.